I never thought I'd find myself in this situation. It all started innocently enough, as these things often do. Curiosity got the best of me, and I found myself delving into the forbidden depths of the internet, into the notorious realm known as the deep web. I was a typical teenager, bored with the mundane offerings of the surface web. I craved something more exciting, more thrilling. So, armed with nothing but my laptop and a sense of reckless adventure, I ventured into the unknown. The first thing that struck me was the darkness. It wasn't just the absence of light on my computer screen. It felt like a tangible presence looming over me as I navigated through the labyrinthine corridors of the deep web. Each click of the mouse felt like a step further into the abyss. And yet, I couldn't bring myself to turn back. As I explored deeper, I stumbled upon sites that chilled me to the bone. Illegal marketplaces peddling drugs, weapons, and even human trafficking. Forums dedicated to the most depraved and twisted interests imaginable. It was like peering into the darkest recesses of humanity's soul. And I couldn't tear my eyes away. But it wasn't just the content that unnerved me. It was the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes lurking in the shadows of cyberspace. I brushed it off as paranoia at first, but the sensation only grew stronger as I delved deeper. Then, I found it a site shrouded in mystery, its name whispered in hushed tones by those who dared to speak of it. The Red Room. Rumors swirled about what went on behind its digital doors. But one thing was certain, it was not a place for the faint of heart. Against my better judgment, I clicked the link, and instantly, I was greeted by a live video feed. The image was grainy, distorted, but there was no mistaking what I saw. Dimly lit room, adorned with all manner of sinister paraphernalia. And in the center, bound to a chair, was a figure cloaked in darkness. I should have turned away then, closed the browser, and never looked back. But something compelled me to keep watching, to see what horrors awaited within the Red Room. As I watched, the figure stirred, lifting its head to reveal eyes that glowed with an unnatural light. It spoke then, its voice a guttural rasp that sent shivers down my spine. "We have a visitor," it said, its words echoing in the empty confines of the room. A curious soul drawn to the darkness. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. How could it know I was watching? Was it just a pre-recorded message? Or was there something more sinister at play? Before I could ponder further, the feed abruptly cut off, leaving me alone in the darkness of my room. I sat there in stunned silence, trying to make sense of what I had just witnessed. Had it been real, or just a sick joke played by some twisted individual on the other side of the world? But deep down, I knew the truth. There was something dark and malevolent lurking within the depths of the deep web. Something that defied explanation or rationality, and by venturing into its domain, I had unwittingly become entangled in its web of shadows. I closed my laptop, shaking off the lingering unease that gripped me. But as I made my way to bed, a sense of foreboding settled over me like a heavy shroud. Every creak of the floorboards, every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind outside seemed to echo with unseen menace. And then I heard a soft scratching sound coming from somewhere in the darkness of my room. My heart leaped into my throat as I scanned the shadows, searching for the source of the noise, but there was nothing there. Just the empty expanse of my room, bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight filtering in through the window. I told myself it was just my imagination running wild, that I had simply been spooked by the events of the evening. But even as I tried to convince myself otherwise, a nagging sense of dread gnawed at the edges of my consciousness, unable to shake the feeling of unease. I pulled the covers tight around me and closed my eyes, praying for sleep to claim me and banish the darkness that lurked in the corners of my mind. But sleep did not come easily that night. Every sound, every shadow seemed to conspire against me, filling my mind with visions of unspeakable horrors lurking just beyond the veil of reality. And then, just as I began to drift into an uneasy slumber, I heard it again, the scratching. This time louder, more insistent. I bolted upright in bed, my heart racing as I scanned the room once more. And that's when I saw them figures moving just beyond the window, their silhouettes dancing in the moonlight like specters from a nightmare. I watched in horror as they pressed against the glass, their hands clawing at the window panes with a frenzied desperation. I wanted to scream, to run, to do anything to escape the nightmare unfolding before me. But fear held me paralyzed, rooted to the spot, as the figures continued their relentless assault on my fragile sense of sanity. And then, just as suddenly as they had appeared, they were gone, melting back into the darkness from whence they came. I sat there in stunned silence, trembling with a terror unlike anything I had ever known. Morning came, casting its golden light upon the remnants of the night's horrors. I wanted to believe it had all been just a bad dream, a figment of my overactive imagination, but the scratches on the window pane told a different story, a story of darkness and despair, of horrors lurking just beyond the edge of perception. I knew then that I could never truly escape the darkness of the deep web, that it would haunt me like a shadow lurking just out of sight, waiting to drag me back into its depths once more. And as I gazed out at the world beyond my window, I couldn't shake the feeling that the nightmare was far from over, that the worst was yet to come. To anyone who may stumble upon my tale, heed my warning. Stay away from the deep web. There are things out there lurking in the shadows that are better left undisturbed. Trust me, the price of curiosity is far too high to